Hello, I'm Jose with FrSky North America. In today's video, we're going to look at setting up the IRX4 Lite Multi Protocol module. And although it's not usually necessary, we will go through the process of updating the firmware, and also, since the majority of people will be using this module for controlling DSM receivers, we will go through the process of installing DSM tools. Please note, IRX4 Lite, DSM Tools, etc. are not FrSky products, so any support you may need if you run into any problems, you'll need to contact the device or software developer. That said, many times I may be able to help if it's a basic question or something that I may happen to know. For this video, I have my well-used IRX4 module that I'll be using as an example. General info. The IRX4 module is used to emulate many different radio protocols. This allows you to run your FrSky radio with different brands of receivers. Please see the multi-module project website for a list of protocols supported by the module. Okay, you got your IRX4 module and you want to use it. First thing you'll need to do is install a Lua script on your transmitter. Okay, let's get on a computer and get that Lua script. I'm going to go to my web browser, just maximize it. And the Lua script is available on GitHub. And it actually came up there because I go to it all the time. But I'll just do a search for GitHub FrSky. And the one that you want is this one right here, the FrSky RC Ethos Feedback Community. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And you'll see a bunch of folders and look for the one that says Lua. Click on that. And over here, there's a bunch of different Luas, but the one that we want is under modules. And it's the multi-module. And this folder and the naming of this folder is actually very important. So remember that it's MULTI, that's it. Now here's the file that we want. This is the Lua script that we need in order to run that IRX4 multi-protocol module. So I'll click on that. And here it is. This is the actual script that needs to run. But to make things easier, you can just go over here and download the file. I'll click on that, and then I can go to my download, and there it is. So I'll just open up the folder. Now it's already highlighted, so I can go Control Copy, so Control C. Then what I'll do is I'll create a folder on my desktop. New folder. And I'm going to call it that thing it was called in there, which is multi, M-U-L-T-I. Okay, once I have that, open up the folder, Control V to put it in, and there it is, main.lua. So the main.lua file for the multi-protocol module needs to be in a folder called multi. All right, that's done. Now we just got to put it into the transmitter. Okay, I got my USB cable over here. And I'll hook it up. This one's, the other end is hooked up to my computer. Plug it in. And if you guys don't know, the default mode is that this will come up with USB mode. So what USB mode do you want to run? And Ethos Suite is essentially how you look at files and how you update your radio. So choose Ethos Suite. And if you don't have this 3 items come up, you need to go ahead and enter it, then you'll see this. And it's essentially a USB icon. In other words, in the menus, your radio is already set to auto-select USB mode. Now we can go back to the computer and you'll see that 2 folders came up. One of them is the radio drive and the other one's the flash drive. I make it a point to always close the flash drive right away because you don't need that. That's essentially system files and you really don't want to be doing anything in that folder. So, okay, so this is the X20 radio drive, and this is the one with audio bitmaps, documents, and the models. So this is the one that you want to go to. And essentially that folder that we created called multi, which is right there, okay, right there, that just needs to go into the scripts folder. If your radio doesn't have a scripts folder, that means you haven't really loaded any Lua scripts in. So you might have to create one. So just create a folder inside this radio drive and call it scripts, SCRIPTS, and that's it. So you create that folder, and all you do is drag this multi into the scripts folder. And once you've done that, you are set. So now I want to go back to the transmitter, and before I do, I want to go ahead and eject the drives. So there's the flash drive over here on the side. I'll click on that and eject it. Okay, safe to remove. And I'll go to the radio drive and eject that one as well. Okay, once those two drives are ejected, now it is safe to disconnect the USB cable.
Throttle not idle. Switch warning.
Okay, now we can take our IRX4 Lite module and put it into the back of the radio. This is an X20 Pro. In the X20 series, it's pretty easy. You just put it in and you'll hear a click. On a lot of the X18s, it's a tighter fit for some reason in the way that they manufactured the mounting brackets for it. So you may have to press much harder to get that to fit. Just make sure that it's lined up properly and put it in with a little bit of force. Not too much, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so now that we're in, now on the model file that you want to use with the multi-protocol module, I created one called IRX4. Just go into Model, RF System, and we don't want the internal module. That would be the internal RF module. This is the external module, which is the IRX4. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Turn the state to on, and the type is the type of module that's plugged in there. So if we go down this list, we'll notice one that says multi-module. So that's the one you want to click on. Now, if you don't see multi-module in that list, that means you didn't install the Lua script correctly. You might want to double check and make sure that it is inside the scripts folder in a folder called multi, and then you got the main.lua file that you downloaded from GitHub. All right. So the good thing about the multi-protocol module is this, is you've got a ton of choices of different protocols that you can use. You know, a lot of those little planes that you get, they're one of these protocols. You can probably find out what it is, you know, if it says it on the receiver or if it says it on the thing. But you're going to have to try to figure out which one it is. But a lot of people use this actually for Spectrum. So if we go down that list and go to Spectrum and click on that, and then now we've got a choice of either two different variations of DSM2. So it's DSM2 1F and DSM2 2F, and two variations of DSMX 1F and 2F as well. Now, generally speaking, most of the newer planes are DSMX 2F, which is this one over here. And if that doesn't work, then I'll try that. And you can look at the receiver and see what the receiver says. If it's got a big stylized X, it's a DSMX receiver. And then look for the words DSM2 for a DSM2 receiver. There's another option over here called Auto. And Auto, supposedly the whole point of Auto is you click that, you bind your receiver, it'll figure out which is the proper protocol, and it'll choose it. I have not had much success with this. So generally, I just choose DSMX2F and try that first. And majority of the time, that's what it is. Okay, and then the binding process is the same. It's essentially, you know, you put your bind plug in or press the button on the receiver when you power it on, and then you hit bind over here. All right, and so that's pretty much it. If you guys are new to this and you are coming from say DSM or Spectrum, the channel order on the receiver is TAER. T for throttle, A for aileron, elevator, then rudder. And this radio, if I get out of this, the channel order is aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder. So we're AETR. The multi-protocol module will auto-convert. So the receiver is throttle first, then aileron, elevator, then rudder. You plug it in that order. But when it gets translated through the multi-protocol module and then goes to our system, it is our channel order. So aileron on channel 1, elevator on 2, throttle on 3, rudder on 4. In other words, you hook up the servos to the receiver the way the receiver wants you to, but when you manipulate it in the radio, it is this format. So when you hook it up to your receiver, make sure that throttle is hooked up to channel 1, and aileron is on channel 2, elevator on 3, and rudder on 4. And when you work with it inside the radio, it is this order. Okay, so it auto converts for you. All right. So that's it. I'm not really going to get into a lot of the setup of anything. It's just more of how you install. But the next thing that we're going to look at is updating the IRX4 multi-protocol module. And generally speaking, if you were to buy an IRX4 module, you really don't have to update it. It's not, usually it's pretty good. But if you want to update it, or if there's some new protocol in there that you want to take advantage of, then here's the steps to do it. So the first thing that we do is go back to the computer. And on the computer, we go again to the browser. I'm going to show you two sites to look at. So the first one is, I'll just do a search for multi-module. And here it is. It's actually multi-module.org. And this is the documentation for the multi-module project. This project is, there's a whole bunch of different hardware. So ours is the IRX4 module that we like to use, but there's other ones for different form factors of radios. And this project is an open source project, and they're doing it, out of the kindness of the hearts. But if you need any documentation on it, it is on this page over here. So this is entire getting started, protocol options, auto bind. It'll tell you everything about it. So if you need any documentation or any questions, this is where you look for it. All right. So the next thing that I want to show you is downloads. And then it's multi-module.org. And this is where you get the firmware. If I scroll down here, there is a lot of different firmware options. The good thing is they made it really easy by using these filters to filter out the one that you need. So the first thing you need to do is select a module. And you can just go down this list and look for the iRange IRX4. And this is all the different variations of the IRX4. Click on that. And then over here for the file filters, the first two items are correct. Next one, radio type, we want to choose serial. Firmware type, air. Channel order, AETR. Okay, so once you've filled out this, if you look down this list, now it's a shorter list. This is a text document about it, and this one is a Lua script zip. But get the one from GitHub, as I showed you earlier. So we already did that. You don't need to do this one over here because it's the wrong file. But over here, this is what you need. The .bin file is the firmware for the IRX4 module. If I click on that, then I'll go ahead and download it. Go over here, click, and now we can open the folder that it's in. And here it is. So, oops. Okay. All right, so here, Control C for copy. And the next step would be to hook up the USB cable to your transmitter. Again, choose Ethos Suite. Okay, and the drive that you want is the radio drive. And over here, I created a folder that has all my firmware updates for all my receivers and any devices that I have. And inside here, we can just go Control V and put it in there. And there it is at the bottom of the list right now. It's MM, STM, serial, AETR, all the options that we chose, and the firmware version. So multi-module, that's what we want. All right, that's inside the radio now. Let's go ahead and eject. Control, or right click, I should say, eject. It's the radio drive ejected. Then I'll go over here to the flash drive and eject that as well. Okay, once you've done that, it is now safe to disconnect your USB cable from your transmitter. Okay, so make sure that your multi-protocol module is in the bay in the back of the radio. And I'm going to go and hit the System button, go to File Manager, go over to Firmware. And then I find that MM in this list, and it should be in alphabetical order. There it is, STM. That is the multi-protocol module firmware. So click Enter over here, and then flash external module. And it's flashing. Okay, that one is done. And that's it. That's how you update the IRX4 multi-protocol module. All right, so the next thing is we're going to install the Lua script for DSM Tools. So DSM Tools is a way that we can emulate forward programming on Spectrum receivers. Again, this is a third-party app. This is not a FrSky product. So I cannot really do much support for it because honestly, I don't run it. I mean, I don't really use it. If I'm going to go the trouble of doing anything in forward programming, I'm just going to put a tandem receiver in it and call it a day. But I know a lot of people do use it, and apparently it does work well, but personally, I don't have any experience with it. But the only thing I can do is show you how to install it. All right, so we're going to go back to the computer. Okay, so let's go back to the web browser. Let's maximize that. And this time do a search for DSM Tools. Ethos, maybe. And the first one that comes up is a GitHub page, DSM Tools packages for HTX, OpenTX. This is it. If I click on that over there, you want to go over here to DSM Tools Suite. And there's a subfolder called Ethos, and this is for the Ethos operating system. Click on that and look for the latest one. It looks like 2.1 is the latest, so I'll click on that. Then I can go over here to download raw file. Click on that. There it goes. And now we can open that folder. And I'll just take that and do a Control C for copy. Whoops. Do that again. Control C for copy. And minimize that. Minimize that. And I'll just put it on my desktop. Control V. There it is. So I got DSM Tools over here, but it is zipped. You don't have to extract it under Windows. Windows has a built-in extractor. All you do is open it up. Choose the file inside of it, Control Copy, and go back to your desktop and Control V, and there it is. So we can now delete the zip version, and this is the DSM Tools. So all you need to do is take this folder and put it into your transmitter. So let's go back to the transmitter. I'm going to hook up the USB cable again. choose Ethos Suite. And this is my radio drive over here. So I'm just going to put that off to the side over there. And here's the flash drive, and I always close it out because I don't want to modify anything in there. And I go to DSM Tools and put that into the scripts folder. So DSM Tools, and I'll just go ahead and put it right into here, into the script folder. And we are done. Okay, so same thing. I want to eject the drives. I'll go over here to the flash drive first, and I right-click, eject. Go to the X20 drive, right-click, and eject. All right, so once it says safe to remove on both of them, we are now safe to disconnect the USB cable. Okay, so I can show you how to get into DSM Tools, but that's about it. I don't know much about it. I've never really used it. So under System, so hit the SYS button or the gear icon over there. Scroll over to the second page, and there it is, DSM Tools. And then you got plain setup, forward programming, and the receiver has to be on for these to work, I'm sure. But besides that, I don't know much more about this. Okay, so we have covered installing the Lua script to make the IRX4 module work. We updated the IRX4 module, and we installed DSM Tools for forward programming of a Spectrum receiver. I think that about covers it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at jose@FrSky-rc.com. Or you can do a comment in a video if it's not that important or critical. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day.